Hello, this is Skylit Lake reading When the Night Falls, the Mobs Rise by Girl Anna. Chapter 3. Now, I ain't ever been with a baddie. Izuku allows the doors to swing open as he enters the room. Two pairs of red eyes immediately lock onto him. Kirishima and Shoto had decided with Tomura and Monoma that Dynamite would be hosting the meeting. Katsuki and Izuku had only learned of this morning when they turned their phones on again and rushed to the meeting separately to uphold their stature as respective mob bosses. Naturally, Izuku had made it just on time, with the confidence of someone who arrived 10 minutes early. Tomura had already been waiting with his legs up on the table across the door. Katsuki, of course, sat at the head of the table, as is done to maintain his power in his territory, regardless of the other bosses in the room. Each man came without an entourage. Instead, their right-hand man waited outside in case they were needed at a moment's notice. The door swings open once again to welcome the last mob boss. Monoma has a knack for making an entrance, and always makes sure he is fashionably late. My apologies. It seems we took a wrong turn somewhere. The asshole bows in mock apology, and Katsuki scoffs as much. Izuku had taken a seat across from his brother, both seated 3 seats down from Katsuki. Monoma reads the room for a moment before deciding to test his luck and sits across from Katsuki on the other end of the table with a smug look on his face. It seems fitting that business partners sit at the same level. The blonde explains himself, and Katsuki doesn't take the bait, chooses to ignore the insolence instead. Izuku has to hold himself back from letting his pride show. Shigaraki, you called this meeting. You get to explain what we're doing here. Katsuki starts off, relaxing back into his chair and putting his feet up across the table. Tomura sends a tired glance Monoma's way and grumbles before straightening himself in his chair and clearing his throat. My men have received intel that All For One has recently acquired a new asset. Allegedly, she is the mayor's daughter, dropped off at his doorstep by the mother who demanded it was his responsibility now. So, the man has another bastard child. Why does it affect us? Monoma shrugs, and Tomura glares at him. Because Overhaul has her now and is training her to be All For One's next successor. We all know the horror stories of his last successor. It won't be good for any of us if she gets on the streets. Izuku adds to that, pointedly ignoring his brother, to which these specific rumors belong. Monoma nods in understanding. So, it will affect us. What I don't get is how it will affect you. Monoma points specifically at Tomura, and the man grumbles. My reasons won't affect you. I can assure you that. Monoma looks at him distrustingly, but ultimately shrugs and leans back into his chair. Katsuki claps sarcastically. Well, just great. Now, is there a fucking plan or what? Monoma grins smugly, and Izuku glares at the spiky blonde. Strategies don't just get coughed up, Bakugo. Katsuki glares back. Then start thinking, you damn nerds. Monoma laughs from his seat, and both send him a warning glare and flip him off in unison. Fuck off! Don't come at me, Grump. All I know how to do is steal for a living. They don't call me the Phantom Thief for nothing. He says that so simply, as if they don't know that he only thieves from crooks under All for One's heel to give back to his part of the city. That is how he gained loyalty from the neighborhoods on his territory. For what he stole for them, he gets a percentage back of their income. He is also well known for having no mercy when it comes to stealing lives. A silent killer with a dramatic flair. Monoma's right. Though with your talents, we need weapons and gear. If we're raiding an 8-bullet space, we need a lot of ammo. Deku starts thinking out loud. The slicked blonde sits up straight at his words. That I can do, though I will need numbers and preferences. Deku smiles at him. Once we have where and when, I'll give you that information. That brings us to find the where, Tomura leads, and Deku nods. We'll need to scout out that information. I'll send Dun's face and Pinky, Katsuki offers, and Deku grins. Ochako and Tsuyu will join them. I have a contact that might know something. Then why don't you go after it? Because I have some other lead in mind. Deku simply defends, and Katsuki seems intrigued. Tomura clears his throat. Good. I'll have my team work on hunting down some known NPCs. They can be our entry point once we know where to hit. It might be smarter to have them keep an eye on Overhaul's whereabouts. He is the one training her. His movements might make all that difference. Deku suggests instead, and Tomura frowns but otherwise nods. Monoma watches them curiously, and Deku meets his eye. Anything else? The man waves his hand, and Katsuki grunts. Fucking finally! Dismissed! Now get out! Monoma stands and bows mockingly again. Deku, we'll be in contact. When he stands up again, he grins and opens the doors wide. Shinzo, we're done here, he announces to his right-hand man, and the purple-haired man looks back inside the 3 bosses behind. Deku winks at him, and the man keeps his expression cooled, but Deku knows better. The man leaves behind Monoma without looking back. Tomura is next to leave, and Darby is waiting for him by the door, stuck in a thrilling conversation with his brother about getting some tattoos like the one Darby sports on his arms, hands, and neck. Darby, not everyone feels the need to decorate themselves like a canvas, Tomura reminds him as they leave, and Darby grins. Think about it, Sho. You could do cool things with a fire and ice. If you change your mind, I know a great guy. He calls back, and Shoto waves his brother off. When it's only the 4 of them, Shoto looks back into the room, Kirishima doing the same, yet they seem to read the room rather differently, with the way the redhead face starts to pale. Let's go for a drink, man. I think we really should get our orders first before they start fighting it out, Shoto protests, and Kirishima doesn't seem to agree. Doesn't mean it has to be us. The rest of your team includes big-mouthed dimwits, Shoto deadpans, and Kirishima face blanks before he ultimately clears his throat and goes into the room. Boss, what's the order? Deku moves the stand to leave, but with the movement, Katsuki rises too. Where the fuck do you think you're going? Home. I've got a lead to track. You're not going anywhere. I'm not done with you. I'm not one of your subordinates. I go as I please. Kirishima winces at Katsuki's reaction, and Shoto covers his mouth quickly before the couple remembers that they are in a room. Fine. Wink your way across the city, like I care. The room goes quiet for a moment before Izuku bursts out laughing. Kirishima tenses, and to be honest, Shoto can feel the room start to freeze from the tension rising in Katsuki's posture. "You're so cute when you're jealous, Ka-chan," Izuku tells him softly, and Shoto and Kirishima get the memo, slowly backing out of the room. Tell Mina, Denki, Ochako, and Tsuyu to get some info regarding Overhaul's bases at the Grapevine." Izuku suddenly addresses them, and Shoto turns to acknowledge the order. "The strip club?" Katsuki scoffs, and Izuku rolls his eyes before turning back to face Shoto. "Tell Denki to keep an eye on the girls. The owner of the club is handsy, and I don't want to hear anything about a bloodbath." Kirishima scoffs, and Izuku grins. "Jealousy must be a Dynamite member trait, then." Shoto looks between the members in the room and frowns. "If this is what jealousy does to someone, I really hope you haven't just pissed Monoma off." Izuku waves him off. "Nah, Toshi and I simply have a common understanding having to deal with dramatic blondes." Katsuki does a double take at the words, and Izuku laughs again. Kirishima crosses his arms over his chest. "I should go too. Give them extra backup." "No, Gandu, you're not Minetta's type. He likes twinks or girls. You don't fit either category," Izuku tells him, and Kirishima huffs. "I don't like the implications here," Katsuki grumbles, and Izuku grins. "It goes with the job. Get over it." Shoto shares a look with Kirishima. "I'll take that drink now." Ochako looked like a pouting toddler when they got back. "I don't want to go to Grapevine," she whined, and Deku sighed as he sat down at his desk. He gave her a look over. "You better not, dressed like that." Her pout got worse, and Deku had to keep his amusement at bay. She practically dressed like a nun. "I am not showing a slither of skin for that creep," she protests, and Deku laughs this time. "Ochako, between all of us, you resemble me best in stature. You need to dress up a little for him to be cooperative. That doesn't mean you have to do anything else." Her face morphs into disgust at the implications. "Oh, God." "That's why I didn't reject Katsuki's offer to send Denki." "Denki's just as much of a creep," she yells back, and Deku glares at her, fed up. "Now that's just insulting. I would never touch a fair young maiden without permission." Denki clicks his tongue from where he's suddenly leaning against the doorframe. If he's here, then Katsuki won't be much further behind. Deku sighs before turning his face back to Ochako. Nevertheless, the freedom of a little girl is on the line. Just play nice. She grumbles under her breath and curses him out, but Deku chooses to act as if he didn't hear anything as he looks the Dynamite members up and down. "See? Denki's dressed appropriately," Deku tells her, and Denki grins. "Well, yeah, I've been there before." Ochako growls. "Of course you have." "We getting this show on the road?" Mina suddenly asks, jumping behind Denki as Tsuyu comes up next to them. She snorts when she sees Ochako. "Why do you look like a nun?" "Nah, girl, that won't do. Now you look like you've got the weapon strapped to you," Mina tuts, and Ochako glares at her inquisitively. "How did you manage to hide weapons on a dress like that?" Deku looks the girl over and honestly asks himself the same question. She's wearing a strapless crop top and jeans. Mina grins. A girl has her ways. With Mina in charge, it didn't take much longer for Ochako to be ready. They left looking like the embodiment of look but not touch. With them to their mission, it was time for Izuku to get with his. "You look like a teen criminal," Shoto tells it to him straight as Izuku pulls the hood over. "Well, as long as I don't look like a mob boss." "I saw the girls leave. You're gonna tell me how you dress when you see that asshole?" Katsuki grumbles, and Izuku swings around to spot him at the gate, looking rather smug. "Just my suit." The guy has a thing for powerful guys in suits. A gun to their head usually reminds him to keep his hands to himself. Katsuki grins, entirely assured. "Did you tell them that?" Izuku shrugs. "They'll figure it out." Katsuki takes a look at what Izuku's wearing and narrows his eyes. "You're going to Aizawa." Izuku frowns. "You're not coming." "Watch me." Katsuki challenges him, and Izuku glares at his boyfriend in his suit. "Katsuki, you look too conspicuous." "Yeah, and you need a ride," he grumbles as he goes to get on his bike and hands Izuku the helmet. "Stop being stubborn and get on." Izuku looks back at Shoto with pleading eyes, and the man shrugs. "He's your problem, not mine. What did you tell Ochako? The freedom of a little girl is on the line?" Izuku flips him off, but takes the damn helmet as Katsuki chuckles as he starts the engine. Luckily enough, Izuku didn't have to fight him about not dropping him off by the bike near the alley behind the station. The man happily left his bike far away, hidden from the feds. He also changed into a hoodie and his leather jacket so he would look less suspicious as they waited out in the alley, against the wall for the detective to come out. "You know you're gonna have to tell Auntie where all these stray siblings are coming from eventually," Katsuki tells him as he picks at some dirt under his nails, and Izuku shrugs. "I'll cross that bridge when we come to it." Katsuki walks over to him and cages him between his arms. "We'll cross that bridge," he reminds the brunette, and Izuku gives him a soft smile, before leaning up to give him a kiss. "Stop thinking you're all alone in this," Katsuki whispers into the kiss, and Izuku hums a soft apology. "Keep your tired indecency away from these streets," a tired voice calls out to them, followed by a click of a lighter and the smell of a cigarette. Izuku turns his head to the origin of the voice. "Aizawa." "You called, Broccoli Head? What do you need?" he asks after he takes a puff of his cigarette. Izuku detangles himself from the blonde and faces the detective on, but doesn't move closer. A girl's identity. Her mother is Konishi Yumiko. The man takes another puff before sighing. "What's happening?" "We're going to save a little girl," Izuku says simply. "Not really in the saving business though, are you?" he states, and Katsuki scoffs. "What we're in the business of or not is none of your fucking business." Aizawa raises a brow at the angry blonde before turning back to Izuku. "I'll send it to you by the end of the night." Izuku bows his head in thanks. "We'll keep you up to date when it becomes irrelevant," Izuku promises, and the man huffs. "Gee, thanks." Izuku grins. "At least try to pretend you don't want to know all the illegal things we get up to. Don't you want to be able to sleep better at night?" Aizawa flicks his cigarette in their general direction. "Okay, that's enough, you little shits." "It's a pleasure doing business with you," Izuku tells him, before shrugging his hood back up and turning away to go back through the streets to the bike, Katsuki following right by his side, all three men unaware of the bright green eyes that had just been watching them through the entire interaction. The girls gag in unison as they arrive at the entrance of the club. The hallway entrance smelling of piss and other liquid substances that would make anyone hurl. Denki rubs at his neck sheepishly as his phone pings with a new notification. Oh, please let that be Deku who said he got that info somewhere else. Sue pleads, and Denki shakes his head. Not quite. Deku, 11:58 p.m. I sent a message ahead of time. He's got the info. Just play along with what he wants. The girls know their limits. Roger that. Sue reads over his shoulder and seems to relax somewhat. The girls react to that and mirror her. Denki pockets his phone with nervousness and the girls follow him inside. Every man in the room turns to them when they finally enter the purple lit up room, and soon enough it's clear that whatever stripper this bar usually has are not here tonight. Instead, the bar turns to the three girls looking disgusted behind the blonde. Deku sent a text up front. He must have cleared out the bar for us. Sue whispers to Mina and Ochako. Mina huffs. Good. At least he doesn't underestimate us. I don't think that's why, Ochako tells her as men start to come up to them looking very happy at what they see. Piss off. Don't even think you can come near me. Mina hisses at the pair of men that come to talk her up, blocking their faces with her hand. Take a chill pill, woman. Have a drink. Another man tells them, and Denki can see the ticking time bomb that Mina's becoming, so he steers the three of them towards the bar. Not a bad idea, thanks man, Denki calls back, and the other man huffs and leaves. Don't blow up until we have what we need, Denki warns her, and she huffs, but lights up when a drink is placed in front of her by Ochako with a smile. Liquid courage? Mina smiles back. Cheers to that! The girls clink their drinks together and Denki orders his own to sip as he scans the room for the man they need. By Deku's description, they're looking for a small man with purple hair and an ego whose aura fills the room. Even with the amount of toxic testosterone filling the room, no one fits that description. Now I better hope you are coming to ask about my day and not trying to slip something in my drink, or we are gonna have issues. Ochako snaps at some guy just as Denki finally spots their target. Okay, you can snap now, he tells her, and she does, throwing her drink at a said man who attempted to spike her, and he stumbles for a moment before snarling at her in full rage. Oh, don't do that. These aren't just some pretty girls. A smug voice warns the man, and the crowd parts for a man wearing a purple suit tailored to his small body, with a zebra-printed cloak draped over his shoulder, releasing a intimidating but perverse power from his small stature. Mineta. Oh shit, here we go. Denki mumbles under his breath and puts his drink down on the nearest table, abandoning it. The short man looks all three girls out slowly. They all fight to gag at his sticky eyes. Well, you don't look calm, he comments in an implicating tone as he swirls his drink. Denki jumps in to de-escalate when he sees Mina reach for something. Now, about that info man, he reminds the thug sheepishly. Mineta gives them a chance over as he looks above his sunglasses before looking back at the girls. I prefer Midoriya, but you guys will do just nicely. The girl's eyes visibly darken. I say we sell him out to cats and be on our way once we get the info, Mina whispers, and Ochako and Suyu nod. Yeah, I second that. Denki rubs his neck sheepishly as Mineta seems to be making plans behind those shiny purple eyes. Let's take this to a private room, he grins, and for once, all three girls grin back. The moment the door to the private room closes with the criminal's bodyguards outside, 3 pairs of guns click and are pointed at his head in an instant. You were right in the first thing you said. We're not just pretty girls. Suyu tells him and Mineta visibly gulps. Denki simply sits down, relaxed for the first time this afternoon. So, about that info, he asks again, and Mineta seems to shrink in size, understanding that he is not as big as he thought he was. He scowls and grumbles, but rightens himself in his seat, regardless of the 3 guns pointed at him. Yeah, Overall has a girl in his main home base. The purple squirt spits out, and the girls react at that, eyes widening in understanding. The man has taken the girl under his wing in the most well-defended fortress he has. He had her in a separate base at first, but his men couldn't control her, so he is taken to training her personally. Shit, Denki curses, and Suyu hums in agreement. Mineta huffs. I gave you the info. I would like my payment now. Suyu gives Denki a side glance. Did Deku mention a payment? Denki makes a show of thinking about it. No, not that I recall. That's because we usually settle the payment after. The payment depends on how good the info was to him. Mineta barks back, and Mina grins wide, mischievous thoughts dancing in her eyes. Oh well, in that case... Hold up. This is Deku's informant, not Bakugo's. Ochako reminds her, and Mina clicks her tongue, looking away. Denki sends a message over to Deku in update, and the response was him smiling. Deku's offering a kiss in trade, he says to the room, and Mineta lights up while the girls all turn to Denki in utter shock. Denki stands to pocket his phone and goes to lean over to Mineta. Does that feel equal to you? Denki whispers, and the short man happily nods in agreement. Looking behind Denki to take a pic of the litter, Denki grins and turns the man's chin a little more, only to give the man a peck on the cheek. All paid for. With that, he stands smugly as the realization strikes the bastard. Oi! That is not what we agreed on. Denki raises a brow. Oh? We never specified who would be giving the kiss. He grins again, as the small man boils in anger, but seems to remind himself when a 4th gun clicks in the room. Mineta falls back to escape Denki's gun. Nice doing business with you. Izuku's phone pings again with a message of confirmation. The deal went through. He smiles to himself as he pockets the phone, and Katsuki clicks his tongue. Izuku coos and kisses his boyfriend's cheek sweetly, to which Katsuki pushes him to the nearest wall and gives him a real kiss. Don't start something you're not willing to finish, Katsuki tells him in a rough voice that has Izuku feeling weak in the knees. Not here, he whispers back breathless, and Katsuki grins knowingly as he nips at Izuku's neck. Then let's hurry up and go home. Mineta peed his pants, if that makes you feel better, Izuku offers, when Katsuki pushes back from the wall with an arm wrapped around Izuku's shoulder. They are reasonably disguised in casual clothing. They can relax their attitudes somewhat, blending in with the dark streets. What's your deal with that guy anyway? Katsuki asks unhappily. He's got a knack for being in places where he shouldn't be and learns useful things that way. The only downside is that he's a nasty pervert that needs a reminder to keep his hands to himself. Izuku adds the last part with a disgusted face, and can see ideas forming in Katsuki's mind at that alone. Izuku smiles at him gratefully. Don't worry, I've beaten him up enough times that he knows better. The girls, I'm sure, gave him a general reminder. Katsuki kisses his temple and smiles proudly. That's my nerd. A deep cough ruins the moment, and they halt mid-step to spot a blonde officer in uniform. Someone that seems to be rather high-ranked by what Izuku can spot on his uniform alone. Gentlemen, how fortunate I ran into you, he greets them politely before his eyes darken. They both tense up immediately at the threat. Let's have a chat down at the station. Izuku spares a glance to Katsuki, who does the same before they both look back at the police officer. Can't do that. They set off running a second later. Izuku heaves a breath when he gets to the motorcycle. They split up, running to raise their chances of losing him, and eventually Izuku ends up climbing a fire escape and ran the rest on the roof. We're good, I lost him 3 blocks back, Katsuki reassures him as he hands him a helmet. Izuku holds up his hands and heaves one more breath before taking the helmet. Let's hurry up before he doubles back. Katsuki grins. What's got you so out of breath? Was running on the roofs, Izuku answers between breaths, and Katsuki slaps his own helmet cover head down. Dumbass reckless nerd, he grumbles. Izuku chuckles. Hold it right there, the officer calls out again, both of them cursing as they jump onto the motorcycle and rev the engines. Fucking hell, hold tight, Katsuki orders him before shooting down the alley at top speed, losing the blonde officer where he stands. Get back here, the man calls back to them, and Izuku flips them off before they turn into the road and disappear. Katsuki grumbles as he pulls his helmet off and starts to zip off his leathers. They'd gotten a text halfway home that Kirishima had passed on the information that Denki and the girls learnt to the other mob bosses, and that the men were coming back to Dynamite Space to reconvene. Luckily for them, Monoma is already waiting inside, having a riveting conversation with Tomura. Both turn to look at them when they arrive. Speak of the devil, Monoma says with a smug tone, and Tomura rolls his eyes. You always have a knack for arriving together. Izuku glares at the platinum blonde before Katsuki steps in. Piss off. I hope you didn't come back to my house just to gossip. He huffs as he sits down at his seat, and Izuku doesn't get to choose as Katsuki kicks a chair open for Izuku to sit on. Clearly, the blonde is reaching the limit of his patience. If it's overall his personal home base you're raiding, I'll give you all the firepower I can muster. Though, I really do suggest you stake it out before you go guns blazing. Monoma adds the last part only to Deku. I would never go in blind. Deku agrees, and Monoma grins. Good. Deku didn't miss how Monoma didn't offer his own men against the 8 bullets, but he let it slide. The man never implied that he would help any further than supply the ammos. If we're sending out a stake team, I can offer up Toga. She may be a wild card, but she is a master of disguise. Ochako is a pretty good sniper shot. If she needs backup, Deku offers, but Tomura nods in thanks. Katsuki looks between the brothers and huffs. Great, is that it? The whole room turns to him in confusion, and Monoma gives Deku a look as if asking for a translation.
Don't look at him. He's not going to help you. Katsuki sneers, and Monoma chuckles uncomfortably. Tomura clears his throat. Then we'll get the girls to coordinate. Deku nods. Monoma, I'll give you Ida's contact information. He'll coordinate it with you when the gear is ready. Zero will handle it on my end. Katsuki offers, and Monoma frowns. Great. Zero is known around the parts to be rough. With that, a silence follows, and it is clear that it is all they would be getting for the night. Fucking fantastic. Now get out. Katsuki growls, and Monoma chuckles half-heartedly, but makes a move to stand. Tomura just smiles as he stands as well. We'll keep in touch. Monoma bows in his dramatic way, and Deku gives the man a single nod. The door slams shut, and Izuku turns to grab Katsuki's wrist, effectively calming him in a second. Katsuki lets his hands be guided to holding his Zuku's cheeks. Planning raids are tricky business, Kachan, with a lot of moving parts, and it takes a lot of coordination, Izuku tells him softly, and Katsuki huffs and pulls the brunette closer to kiss him softly. No more work talk. We're in your office, Izuku points out in a whisper, and Katsuki kisses him again, before pulling away to pinch his cheeks. Monoma is catching on to us. Monoma already knows. He's just playing games because we don't let it show publicly. Izuku rolls his eyes, and Katsuki backs away slowly. Huh? Izuku smiles sheepishly, and Katsuki raises a brow. How did he find out? Hitoshi made some prodding remarks. I got defensive, and it made it clear that Kachan was already taken. Izuku pouts, and Katsuki bursts out laughing, to which Izuku's pout deepens. Who's jealous now, nerd? Izuku frowns. I don't need to be. Kachan is mine. Katsuki smiles and pulls Izuku closer again by a pinch of his cheek. Yeah, I am. Now, let's finish planning this raid, Izuku tells him, determined, and Katsuki chuckles. Let's go save your sister. Eri.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the third chapter in this series, and
It was a long one.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be like a 40 plus chapter. I'm not sure, but I've got like 3 recordings that are all like 20 minutes each, roughly. Like the average is probably like around 18, maybe 16 minutes each, 3 recordings, so figure out the math yourselves. I'm not going to bother with that. But either way, Mineta, what's your opinion on him? I personally hate him, and that's why I try to give him the most annoying voice in all my podfics. Yeah. And also, comment below on what you guys want to be called, because it sounds weird to calling you viewers, and I've seen other podfickers call like their listeners, well, their viewers, different names, and that kind of fit their themes. Like, Put Your Hands Up Radios that calls her listeners, and Teddy Bear Jellybean. I don't know it off by heart, but she calls him like jelly beans and something like that. So I'm really thinking, what should I call you guys? Comment below, because I want to know. Also, my voice is giving out. I've recorded for like an hour straight, and my voice is just dying. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!